Hello, everybody. Hello. Did everybody have fun? Somebody say something so I know you're out there and I'm not sitting here all by myself. Did everybody have fun playing the game? Give you a second to come over because I know y'all were playing the game. Y'all speak up, but don't yell. I'm not used to this mic being so low. Hello. Am I all by my lonesome tonight? So we just had our trivia, our moon trivia. I hope y'all enjoyed that. So, hello, Malloy. You got third place. Yay! Yay! Did you have fun? Did you like that, Malloy? Hey, JC. I'm so glad you came. Did you have fun doing that, JC? Some of them were pretty hard. I wanted to make y'all think. Mm. Good. I'm glad you had fun. Did you I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. Um I did notice there was one that I was really surprised y'all didn't get, but Malloy thought that after they got done with the moon going to the moon, they came back and partied in Las Vegas. Hey, it would have been a good time, right? Um, who Great Dane Mom won, didn't she? Wasn't it Great Dane Mom, then you, then Malloy, then uh Keith Gregory, I think. I know. I could hear you. I could hear you doing it. I knew you were doing it. Are you doing it right now? I can hear you. I can hear you. Were you Malloy? You do that so good. You really do. You sound just like him. Well, so tonight we're going to talk about the conspiracy that is the moon landing. So a lot of people out there since the very beginning have been saying that that the moon, we didn't actually go to the moon. Some people said that we did, and everybody all over the world was watching, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh no, we didn't go." So okay, so Molly, you think it was real? You think we really went? Jay-Z says Nixon flew away in a helicopter. You were watching it on TV? That's cool. A lot of people were watching it all over the world, they were watching it. So, JC, do you think that we actually went to the moon, or do you think it was fake? Do you think it was Hollywood? What do you think? Mike says, yes, I don't think it was a hoax. I'll let you know what I think. Wolfie's going to let you know what she thinks too. And so, um, I think it was real. I want to know, Jay Z, what do you think before we dive into all of this info that I've got? And, and Wolfie too. Wolfie, she's the better half of my brain. Jay Z says, I think the moon landing was real. Well, so I don't know where everybody else is right now, but that's okay. They can watch it on the replay. And it will probably pop in here soon. So, before we talk about that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our how NASA came into existence. NASA is it's actually short for National Aeronautics. I can't talk. And Space Administration, and it came into existence on October 1st of 1958 as a result of the Sputnik crisis. And Sputnik was the Sputnik crisis was a period of intense public and political reaction in the United States after the Soviet Union launched the world's its first artificial satellites. Now, where there we got tons of them up there. Now you look up there, and if you see a star moving, it's a satellite because they're everywhere. But Sputnik 1 was on October 4th of 1957, and that made us stand up and take notice and go, oh, wait a minute. We can't have these Russians going to the moon or, knowing more than what we do. So um, uh, we had this fear and urgency in the United States, and the Soviets demonstrated that their technology was and military was way more than what we had. So we had to get on the stick. Um, so President Eisenhower approved the creation of a new federal agency that would be responsible for civilian space programs and research, space research. So NASA was established by the National Aeronautics and Space uh, Act in 19. Oh, wait a minute. I'm moving ahead. So first we had the national, the National Aeronautics Space Act was, my brain is not working. It was actually today in 1958. It was put into an act. It was signed. My brain is not functioning. Anyway, so today is the anniversary of when the act was signed. So that's really cool that we're talking about that today. Anyway, the NASA inherited the personnel and the facilities and the projects of the predecessor, which is what my brain was trying to go to, which is the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, which is the NACA. And that was founded in 1915. And what they did was they studied anything having to do with flight. So early rockets and satellites and just flying. So that's what they did. But we weren't prepared for this space race at the beginning. So we just kind of had to move ahead. Hello, Yamaha. So glad to see you. Yeah, there's a lot that has been talked about. There's a lot that has gone on. And I just got here reading. Yeah, my brain isn't working well today. If you see my eyes start to get all red, it's part of my brain injury. My brain fires backwards, so it'll fire towards my face instead of back into my brain. So if you see my eyes start to get red and water start pouring down my face, it's just a thing. It's disregard what's happening. I'm not crying. So anyway, um, Malloy says I like Ike. Nick, Ike. Yes. All right. No, my eyes are not going to pop out. They're not going to pop out. But this one will. I mean, you can kind of see it's red. It'll start tearing. Anyway, so just disregard. All right. So, with that being said, I want to bring on my spirit animal, Wolfie. She is going to help me talk about this. So, please. Hello, Wolfie.
Oh my goodness, that was beautiful. That was so cool.
Did you like that?
That was really, really neat. Yeah, I really like that.
I did that just for you. Hold on. We're going to do it one more time because I surprised her. She didn't know I was going to do it. Let's watch Wolfie come in one more time. I had to do something for my spirit animal.
That's just, yeah, like now I'm the one that's crying. That was just really, really neat.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
You missed what I said in chat. I said there is no crying in baseball.
There isn't. There's no crying in baseball unless you. No, it's not crying. My eye
I
will
know.
just start to. In fact, it's not even a tear. There's no oil in the water. It's just the water will just it burns my face. It's just like, and there's no controlling it. So anyway,
Okay. It'll
so
all be good.
you know, and I am struggling today, so y'all are gonna have to bear with me. My brain isn't working really well today.
We're going to
So,
be fine.
so as we get started, what would you like to say? I kind of struggled through trying to tell you all about Nessa, but anyway, hey, Great Day Mom. We're so glad you're here. You did really good in our trivia. Proud of you. Yay. Malloy got up on the screen. He was good. He was doing his Nixon. I swear I could hear him doing it when we were going through that. So, I will let you start. I do have I don't really have any pictures, but I am going to show y'all some video in a little bit. But Wolfie, I'm going to let you go ahead and start. Tell us what you need to know, or what we need to know.
This is interesting to me because this was never a thing for me. I love a good conspiracy theory. I really do. But this is really recent in time for me in terms of understanding that there were so many people who didn't get it and who didn't believe that it was real. And I did a whole bunch of trying to catch up on stuff. And I was concerned I was going down a rabbit hole and listening to people who really didn't have many facts. And it was a lot of just really made up stuff. So I took a break from that and I watched Capricorn 1. And I had seen that in the 70s in the movie theater. Capricorn 1 is a movie that it's about the first trip to Mars, where the astronauts are going to go to Mars. And in the story of the movie, there's a problem, a last minute problem, and they pull the astronauts off of the rocket. and take them to an abandoned base where they have set up a movie studio, and they're going to pretend that they actually went when they didn't. And apparently, that movie really was kind of a spark for a lot of people. While there were people who didn't believe or were uncertain, that was the thing that really kind of started the controversy. And then, of course, along comes the internet, and poof, everybody can talk to everybody, and conspiracy conspiracy.
It grows.
Great, your brain's not working. My mouth's not working. Um, Conspiracy theories. That's what I wanted. Um, Abound, on the internet. So, um, again, this is so amazing to me that people looked at all of this and said, no, we couldn't possibly have gone there. Um, but do you want me to just start right in with some of the things that people
Yeah,
were
I'll tell
saying?
you. When I was in high school, I believe it was in high school. I think that's when the movie with that, oh, I can't remember his name. Anyway, that came out and everybody started talking about it. And back then, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have, we didn't even have any pagers. So it was just word of mouth. And I remember people talking at
Sorry.
school. It's okay. I remember people talking at school about the flag and all the things and that it wasn't real. And I was like, what? So we couldn't go onto the internet and find out what was, what NASA was saying or what people were saying. You had to go by word of mouth, what other people were talking about. And I remember asking my dad and saying, I heard this at school and they're saying these things and, the flag and just the food and, different things that they were talking about. My dad got so mad. He got so mad. He was like, it was real. It was real. We went to the moon. And that was it. I heard my dad say that it was real. And so I was like, okay, it's real. And it wasn't until much, much, much later, when you have, like you said, the internet and all these conspiracy theorists can pop up and it drums it all back up and people started talking about it again. And so I was like, oh, okay. So maybe there is something to it. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, go ahead and let's talk about some of the different things that people have come up with that said that it wasn't, that this is, that it was Hollywood, that it wasn't us going to the moon.
Well, one of the big things is the flag. That got people really wound up. And when the astronauts put the flag on the moon, the flag has not just the upright pole, it also has a pole across the top. And while they were trying to work the flag into the soil, the fabric of the flag continued to wave for quite a while because the rods were continuing to move. And this is one of the big things that people point at and say they can't possibly be on the moon because the flag's moving, and that means there must be airflow. So that was like really the one of the big ones. The next one that really comes up
Here,
is
hold on a second. Since you brought up the flag, since we're talking
Mhm.
about the flag now, I've got a clip of when they're actually putting the flag in. Um,
Okay, cool.
oh, hold on a minute. That's the wrong one. Hold on. That was the one step. Here, let me do that first. Let me play the clip that I have of when they first landed and they had the first step.
Okay.
Um, and then I'll show you the flag when they were putting in the flag. So, Hopefully you have
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. As the surface is fine and powdery, I can pick it up loosely with my toe. It does adhere in fine layers, like powdered charcoal, to the sole and sides of my boot. I only go in a small fraction of an inch, maybe an eighth of an inch, but I can see the footprints of my boots and the treads in the fine sandy particles. Hey, this is Houston. We're copying.
So that's pretty cool. Okay, hold on. Great Day Mom. The quiz was wrong. I think I know. I think I know which one you're talking about. Are you saying where he's speaking and there's a word that's left out? Is that what you're talking about? Is that the quiz? The question was Jay hopes that this is right. Was that it? Was that what you were talking about? Great Day Mom? No, it's A. So when he was speaking, he was wanting to say, or he actually said, but they've done testing with listening. There's a little blip where it didn't catch what he was saying, and he was trying to say amen, but it didn't catch a man. It just said man. So it is A is what is missing. But he was upset about it not picking up that, because he said it sounded like he was using incorrect grammar. But that it sounds right. It doesn't sound like you should say amen. He's saying man, as in instead of amen, a small step, amen, giant leap for mankind. So it was amen is what he was supposed to be saying. So Great Day Mom. If you said A, you're right. Sorry, Jay-Z. It's A. So did that answer what you were talking about? I didn't hear him say the word the. He doesn't say the, but he meant to say a man, not the man, but a man. But and they've listened to the audio, and there's a blip where the word a is supposed to be. Like I said, he was very upset that he had this iconic phrase that he was going to say when he first did it, and then it made him sound. He thought he made him sound stupid. Of course, he does not sound stupid, but it was still watching it live. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that we'll talk about later. But just being able to film that, have then that relayed from the moon it went to Australia. Then Australia had to take it and format it, and then it went actually all the way around again. It went somewhere like, I want to say Alaska. That's probably wrong. And then it had to go back all the way around the world again. So, so it took a long route to get to us on television, which is really cool. So, a lot of the footage is grainy. Some is better. So the film that like what we just saw, that's grainy because that was on the outside. The inside, the cameras that are on the inside, they're better. It's more clear. But anyway, and I'm going to show you that with the flag in just a second. Let me get behind where I found that one. Oh, that's right. I had that on a different thing. Mm. Okay. So this is where they're putting the flag down, and this is from, and so there are two feeds that you see. Um, there's a camera that's on the outside, like I was saying. I do have that, but it's really hard to see. Um, the inside is much better, and I don't remember. I don't know what they were showing on television. I was too little to know. Um, all the stuff that I've gotten, like the landing of the one step, that came from NASA's website, and this is also from NASA's website. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's nice. Did it come on?
So this is them coming out. And it is very choppy because, like I said, it's going around the world twice, pretty much.
Take that part. Go on there with right. Extend that one. Columbia, this is Houston, ALS over. Neil Armstrong's been on the lunar surface now almost 45 minutes.
They're having to unroll the flag. That's what they're doing.
Columbia, this is Houston, reading you loud, clear, over. Yeah, read you loud, clear, go ahead. Roger, the EVA is progressing beautifully. I believe they're setting up the flag now. Great. I guess you're about the only person around that doesn't have TV coverage of the scene. That's all right, I don't mind that. indeed. They've got the flag up now. You can see the stars and stripes on the Olympic.
There you go. So there's the flag. Go ahead, Wolfie, and tell them about the flag.
So, well, ultimately, what you saw there was that it took them a while to navigate opening up the flag and getting it out. But once they plant the flag, there's no movement. It waves around for a little bit and it calms down. So that I don't see that as being a problem with the fact that they went. The interesting thing with Neil stepping down for the first time, people questioned, well, how was he able to film? Who was filming him if he was outside the capsule? And the camera, they had to open up the space where the external camera was. So they did that from inside so that the camera would then be pointed where they needed it to be. And then that would allow them to film him coming down the steps. He also comments, I remember there being question, how solid would the moon be? And he makes a comment about a limited amount of dust on the surface, but he is able to see his footprints.
Right. The footprint thing. I know that was one of the things about the footprint.
Right.
They show the suit, and the suit has a flat bottom, but it has a covering over top of that. So that's why it made the guava. That's why it had the tread. And when he was coming down and he's describing what he's seeing, he says you can see the tread. So that tells you he did have a covering and he has a tread. The flag moving, when you can see them try and first they put the pole into the ground and they're having to twist it on. That's gonna create a vibration.
Yeah.
And that vibration, since there isn't a wind, there's not an atmosphere to work against that flag. It's going to continue to go until it just, they stop it. You can see them put their hand up. There's no wind, there's no atmosphere. That's why they have to have the bar to hold the flag, because it's not like here where the wind is going to blow and move it around. But the movement is, I know a lot of them are like, if it's in the studio, you got the fans going because it's hot in there, or the air conditioner or whatever. And that's what's causing that airflow. So that's what, they're saying, if it's in the studio, that's what it is. But if it's on the moon, then the reason why you can't see that, or the reason why it's moving, is because they did put it in and they were manipulating the pole, which was creating a vibration, which made that flag continue until it just worked itself out. So anyway, another thing about the dust, we've got Axiom. And I don't know you, Axiom, so I'm glad you're here. The dust, they do talk about the dust, and about how when the modular was coming down, they cut it. It's not like they had the thrusts on to lower it down. Actually, they had to kill it because they were running out of fuel. So they killed it, and that they just came down. And when they came down, they actually didn't land where they originally had wanted to. When they were, they flew around looking for the spot, to land, and they did not land. And the Sea of Tranquility is where they landed, but they didn't land in the spot that they were thinking that was going to be the right place to do it. And so when they landed, there isn't going to be a dust like we think of here in this atmosphere. We have wind that kicks up the dust and everything. There's no wind. It just dropped. And it just, I mean, when you see them running around and stuff, you don't see these big plumes of dust or anything. You don't see any of that. You would hear on Earth, you would see that. But in a place where there's no atmosphere to or wind to be able to stir that up, it just there's nothing there. Um, so anyway, he said that it was like charcoal, that it was crunched down like charcoal was how he was describing it.
There were other missions that were a little dustier, where you could literally see, like, when you look down at the lander's feet on the first mission, Apollo 11, you don't see the dust up on the feet, but in later expeditions and later flights, you do see the dust. So part of it has to do with where they came down the first time.
Right. So what I have here in my notes, because I have to refer to my notes because I don't remember anything.
No, I'm scanning multiple documents right now, trying to find things I want to
know.
say.
So my brain doesn't work. So anyway, the lunar module was specifically designed with a downward pointing thrusters to create a gentle descent and prevent excess dust from being kicked up. The spacecraft's engines were throttled down. Like I said, they killed them before they lowered it, and it was before they got too close to minimize the impact of the surface and to control the descent. Helped reduce the amount of dust blown around. The low gravity, the moon's gravity is weaker than Earth's. So as a result, the dust particles of the moon's surface do not fall back as quickly as they do here. So when disturbed, the dust particles tend to stay suspended in the air for a longer time, which creates a hover. So you're not like it. So if it comes up, it's not going to be like that plume of dust where it's coming up in the air and coming down and coming back. It'll go up. It's kind of like, when you're dusting and you just see those little fine particles in the air and they're there, but they don't fall back down. You can just kind of see them. And like if the sun's coming through the window and you're dusting and you see that dust, it would be more like that instead of a plume of dust popping up. And then you can see all of that. So anyway, also the cameras that they had were not the way those cameras were. They're not going to pick up, and I will go right to the stars too, because that kind of goes to the stars. In the pictures, people are talking about the stars and they don't see the stars. Well, it's kind of the same thing. These cameras are focusing in on other things and they're not the stars. So they always say, like, they use a baseball game. If you go to a baseball game and you're videoing or taking pictures of the baseball game and you see in the background the sky, over the board, you don't see the stars. You might, it's just black. And that's because they're so small. They're so small that it doesn't pick up that light. The dust would be the same thing. It would be the particles will be so tiny that it's not going to pick up on those cameras unless it was a mass amount and have that big plume kind of effect.
And that also plays into the whole idea of people talk about the shadows and the fact that the shadows, they claim that there's multiple light sources. And so that would be like a movie set where you don't just have your main camera, you have other filler cameras to fill in the light. And for example, when the astronauts are behind the shadow of the lander, it's not completely dark. And part of the problem with that is that all the particles on the moon's surface contain different elements that reflect light, kind of like people can get sunburned if they go skiing. The sun reflects back up off the snow. In a similar way, all of the moonlight or the sunlight focused on the moon reflects up off the moon. So things aren't completely dark in a shadowed space the way you'd
Right.
think they would be. And the other aspect of the shadows is they talk about do the shadows trying to think which argument was being made. Um, uh, it had to do with the way the shadows were going. That if you stand on a road on Earth and you look down the road into the distance, you know in your mind that the sides of the road are parallel. They're the same distance for the entire length of the road. But as you look down the road, the two sides of the road appear to come together. It's the perspective of it. And that's what's happening with the shadows. If you're standing in one position, the shadows might look parallel. They might look side by side. But if you go to a different position, they're going to look like they're pointed at each other. And it's not because there's more than one light, it's because of the perspective of the way our eyes work.
Right. It's also, this may reminds me of a ghost story, but the way the horizon is when you're looking at something, they had all kinds of, hills and little gullies, and just it's not flat surface. So as you're looking at something, what seems to your eye to be higher might not be higher, or vice versa. I know that because of my brain damage. My eyes and my brain are 6 inches off. So when I look at something, my body feels that it's one thing, but my eyes see something else. Your eyes can play tricks on you, but when you're looking at those shadows and they're crossing or whatever, they're coming like they're like that. It's not because you have multiple light sources coming in. It's just like you said, it's the reflection off of the materials that are on the moon's surface. It's more like a glass and that reflective type stuff. So that would cause cause the shadows to go different ways. Plus, you got like I said, the not smooth surface.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the big ones that they talk about. Another one that they talk about, Axiom. He brings this up too about the suits. If their suits are good enough to pass through that radiation belt, why don't they use them to clean the melted power plants? Men actually melted inside without, I guess, hazmat suits on. Okay, so the what was it, Van Allen? Was it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Van Allen.
Van Allen belt. So from my understanding, okay, first of all, their suits don't protect them going through the Van Allen belt. That wasn't protecting them from that. The space module that was protecting them from that. They also, from my understanding, they went through a not so
dense.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
The not so dense area. And so everything they did was to minimize that. They also have their suits on. So they've got their suits on, they've got the module itself, and then they picked a time and a place that was not so dense to take, make it so that the radiation wasn't so bad.
The first belt is denser around the equator. So I don't know how that's relative to the trajectory of the flight. But so there is variations. It's not like a solid wall.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. I don't. don't know about radiation stuff like that. I just know from all the research and stuff that I've listened to others who, specialize and know about that kind of stuff.
Well, the numbers that I saw, the first one was 100 million electron volts, and that's the one that's smaller. And that's the one that is denser around the equator. So if they go toward the outside of it, they'd be going through a smaller portion and they'd pass through it quicker. And the second one is the one that's mostly plasma, and that's less. It's 10 million volts. So you're talking 1/10 of the amount of radiation of the first belt. So again, it was just a matter of picking, the appropriate place to go through.
Right. And so, anyway, what other ones were there? There was the radiation. I know one. One was just the technology.
Right.
We didn't have the technology. Okay. Well, no, we didn't at first. We got into it because we were, we were in the space race against the Soviets to, be the power. They had already sent somebody up. They had already gotten the satellite. They had already done all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are supposed to be the superpower, and we hadn't done squat. So Kennedy is the one that started it, saying we're going to go to the moon. I did have a clip of that, but we don't need to hear it. We don't need to see that. But he's the one he said, we're going to go in this decade. So
there was also a very real fear at the time in terms of what the Russians, the Soviet Union, how they were. And we really believed that they were going to put nukes on the moon, that they were going to use it as a base.
Exactly.
And when they first discovered the Van Allen belts, they blamed the Soviets for that. They thought the Soviets did something nuclear in right around the planet and created. So everything, there was it was scary time. There was a really scary time. The Soviets were a boogeyman for the American culture. So yeah, there was a real fear that we had to get there before them.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there was a lot going on in that time. And to think that they could go and put, weapons against us.
Mm-hmm.
We already knew that they were circling the globe multiple times a day, watching, seeing. And so that's now we're used to it. We had the balloon coming over. We're used to that now. But back then, to the thought of having them come and have their eyes on us and know what we're doing and spying on us, that was very scary. So that's what started it. So we got our knowledge because we were not that technically advanced at all. We were way behind.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a thing called Operation Paperclip.
Yes.
And Operation Paperclip was something that the Americans didn't know about, and that was our government kept it from the Americans. And what that was they brought over, I believe it was 150 Nazis. And I'm talking Nazis. Brought them over because these Nazis were just super knowledgeable. The expertise and the knowledge that they had on all of these things were so over the top. We weren't even close to that. So we brought over 150 Nazis. Didn't say anything.
Use the phrase German scientists.
Yes, German, but they were Nazi. A lot of them.
But
Not all of them. Not all of them were like deep into Nazi.
It's a phrase that YouTube doesn't like.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yes.
Okay. Well, let's not use them then. Okay, so German scientists. So they were yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, I do children's stuff. I don't know these things.
It's all good. It's all good.
So, anyway, so these scientists had so much knowledge that we were like, we need your knowledge. We will bring you over here. They weren't, they were treated just like the other scientists. They came in and they gave us all of their knowledge. And the Americans didn't know. So when Axiom down here, you say, do you ladies trust the government? Well, the government doesn't tell us everything, obviously, because we did not know where we were getting all of this information from. We did not know how we were being able to develop all of this. Yeah. For real, YouTube doesn't like honesty. I get you. YouTube is its own being. But anyway, so we didn't know. We just knew that all of a sudden we were able to create these things. And there were over 400,000 people that were working on this project. That's a lot of people. A lot of people. There were so many different organizations that were involved, and they were all pulling together for one thing. So, in the scheme of things, was it bad that we used their knowledge? I don't know. Would we have been able to go to the moon without their knowledge? Not then. I mean, that was what the government had to decide. So do we bring them in to be able to get ahead and to be able to do these things? Or do we just try and figure it out on our own and see what happens?
Or do we let them go and they go to another country and continue their research? So it was a calculated decision to be made.
Yeah. And it's probably good that we didn't know about all that. Later on, there were some that were tried after the fact, So it wasn't like they got away with everything. So I mean, that it did come back to them. But anyway, so that was how we got our knowledge, and that was not really conspiracy, because we didn't know. And then when we found out, it wasn't like they tried to hide it. They were like, yeah, we did that.
Right.
So when it comes to conspiracies, I will give them credit for that. They didn't try and hide that it came out. So anyway, so that was the technology, and how we advanced and how we got all that. We also used, like, with the film, being able to get it on television, because nobody ever had any. We didn't have anything like that. I mean, now we do. I mean, heck, we got people right this second all over the world. Melissa's in Australia. We've got people all over the world that watch this stream and interact with us, and it is incredible that we can do that. But back then, you didn't. You have these little black and white televisions with the little, antenna and stuff. And so for us to be able to see that on television was amazing.
Well, that's another good point. When we first started going to the moon and we first started sending men into orbit, people stopped what they were doing. And many people didn't own a television. They would go to places like just standing at a store to
Yeah.
watch. We used to stop everything. It was a unifying. This was a unifying activity. You know, it
Right.
was something, and it was a lot of pride. There was a lot of pride in it that we were accomplishing this. And um, how many times have rockets gone up and you don't even know?
Oh,
In the past, like 20 years, even we've
right.
complete since the space shuttles.
Right.
We don't keep track of this stuff anymore.
No. I have a friend that lives in Florida, and he'll put on Facebook whenever because he can see it. He can see the launches from his backyard. He watches them all the time, and that's the only time I know. I mean, I have another friend that went down for the last space the rocket launch and stuff, but it's not like it was back then. Everybody, and that's one of the big questions is like, why haven't we ever gone back?
Oh, that's a big, yeah.
Yeah, why haven't we gone back? Well, part of why we haven't gone back is because, you know, money. Money is a big thing about, why didn't we go back? The cost of just going there
Right.
to begin with. But another thing was everybody was so invested and wanted it so much, and they just put everything into that. And then once we did it, it was like, "Okay, we did it."
We did it and we're done.
Yeah.
And well, this brings up the
It's
single
kinda how we
thing.
are now. We're like, "Okay, it's another rocket." Okay.
Well, and that, but that's that. There's two aspects to this. You, you know, when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to saying we're going to put money into this, the government decides, okay, we're going to put money into this, we're going to put money into that, and we attained the goal. We went to the moon, and at the time, there really wasn't anything more to do. Okay, we did it. That's it. It's done. So why put more money into that?
Right.
So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect, and this is the one thing that bugs me more than anything else, astronaut Don Petit, Petit, he had two space station missions. He was up in the shuttle. He went to Antarctica as part of a NASA program to look for meteorites. He's 68 years old and he's the oldest active astronaut right now. And he said
Mhm.
he would go to the moon in a second, but we destroyed the technology to get there.
Mm.
What does that even mean? That
Mhm.
bugs me.
Yeah,
That single sentence.
I've heard others say that, and I've also heard them refer to, like, um, they destroyed the technology. Well, they lost the tapes, and they misplaced whatever. How do you misplace something that important? How did you destroy tapes that were such such a big part of our history? How can you misplace that? How can you destroy that? How can you copy over tapes when it's that important? So that kind of makes you go, what? And then you've got people talking about, I've heard them talk about like the pyramids.
Hmm.
So they lost that. They knew that they could do it, they could build it. And then what happened? That's gone. We can't do that anymore. Or the aqueducts, okay, Rome had these massive aqueducts, and they did all this stuff. And then all of a sudden they're like, so how do we do that? I don't know. So how is it that you have this knowledge and you have this technology, and then you just misplace it or you lose it? Maybe it's one of those things, if you don't use it, you lose it. But with the way we are now, maybe back then, but how do you just misplace?
Technology
Yeah.
or the understanding or the documentation
Yeah.
or I,
You've done that
the
with other things too. You're like, what? How did you just not? I don't know what we did with it.
The film thing I understand because it's something that we're not used to now, and that was the film at the time was reused. It
Yeah,
wasn't the
you
kind of thing where
could just send it through. Yeah,
you put an image on film and then that was it, because the big movie studios did that as well, where
yeah,
they would reuse films so stuff got lost because it was literally taped over. Um, as far as like it, I get what you're saying about the pyramids and aqueducts and things like that, and there's ancient forms of cement that we don't know how to make. Um, that's kind of a matter of um, the guy that has the recipe dies, you know, um, or even, you know, how much land do you have to build pyramids on? How many more do you need? Um, that's a slightly different thing, and probably occurred over a longer period of time. But
right.
um, yeah, this is the sticking point for me. This is the one that makes me go, how? And there's a companion question to that. Um, we retired the space shuttles long before they needed to be retired. They still were usable when we decided, okay, we're done with these things. And okay, a lot of time is advanced. We're familiar with new building
Right.
techniques and new science and new materials. And why didn't we just kind of recreate them, but newer stuff?
Yeah,
And
update what we have.
it,
We've learned,
right.
our technology, we have progressed. Why don't you take that and
And
do more?
yeah, it just did.
Mm,
That's another thing that doesn't make any sense to me. I get that, now we have, like Elon Musk and I can't think of um, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos,
yeah,
who are taking rockets
yeah.
and sending them straight up and then bringing them down and landing them straight up again, which is a pretty amazing feat. But
Mhm.
why did we give up on the idea of landing something like a plane, like
Yeah,
the shuttle did? Like, I can't understand that.
I loved that. I loved watching that, watching
That
it
was
come
great.
in. You see it go up and then you see it come in just like, it's like you're taking a trip and you're coming back home. I
Right.
don't I don't know why they did all that. I know that, I know that the government did play a big part in why we stopped. Um, I know they made it, and I'm not gonna say what president because it really doesn't matter, but,
No, it doesn't.
we're not gonna get into political views here.
No,
But,
no.
um, yeah, there's a president that just like, there are other things, and we're not worried about space.
Right.
We're just gonna worry about what's here. And so they kind of like, put a halt on all of NASA. And that's when they decided to go ahead and put it in more and let the private sector take over. So like Elon could come in and, uh, you just said his name. Um,
Um, Jeff Bezos. Sorry.
Bezos, yeah. It's like you just said his name.
It's okay.
And Bezos. So they could come in and they can do things and it opens the door, which I think is actually it's good that the private sector can come in and it's not just the government.
Mhm.
That kind of can regulate things so that it can't be all one-sided and it's more open. Um, but then again, it's only open to those who can afford it. So, um,
But
but
competition
yeah,
forces people to be,
think outside the box.
right, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, so cost, I understand. I mean, they want to put, they want to put things into healthcare or, yeah, healthcare. That's another thing. Brain injury. Um, they want to, they want to put things into us here instead of worrying what's out there. But we need to know what's out there.
But see now, there's another aspect to this that most people don't realize, and that's when we go into space, and this is the benefit of the space station, which is not going to last much longer,
Yeah.
is that we go up there and we do experiments and we learn things in zero gravity, and we learn to make things that are that adjusts the way we view any number of things, from just planting seeds to
Right. Mhm.
manufacturing metals to something happens when you manufacture metals in space where they lose some of the stress, so they're literally stronger.
Oh,
um,
wow. I didn't know that.
yeah, there's all these fascinating things that happen where if we could reach a point where we put factories in space
Mhm.
to create things. And so more comes out of space than just, ooh, let's leave the planet and go look at the stars or pick up moon rocks. Medicine, again, manufacturing, um, it just a whole long list of things that we do up there. And we would lose that. We would lose that.
Yeah. Um, I think I think being able to have, like, we have the rover up there now. I mean, the
Mm,
rover
mm.
was only supposed to be a 90-day thing. It's still up there. I think there's 3 of them up there now. And then
On
we
Mars?
then we got,
Mm.
China has been going at seeing the other side of the moon,
Yes.
Japan,
India?
um, yeah, so now other countries are involved in it. We've gotten past that race thing. So it's not a fight to who can get there, who can do this. Now it's more a unit. Everybody, these other countries are like, okay, so y'all did that. Now we're going to go look at that. And like the space station, you know, um, I was telling Wolfie, it's really cool. I've got my whole neighborhood. We do this now. There's an app that you can get, and I can't remember. Like ISS, I think, International Space Station app, and you can get it, and you can see when it's coming over to your house. And I love watching it. It is the coolest thing to see the space station flying over my house. I've seen it. I can't even tell you how many times. But it's super cool, and to know, and it tells you on that app who is on it, how long they've been on it. It'll tell you when they're switching out. And it's really cool to see all these different countries coming together to be on the space station. So the that's one reason why I think we haven't been back to the moon, because we have all of these other things, all of these things outside of the moon. We've
Hmm.
been there. We've seen what's there. We've seen what's not there. Now, there's the whole thing of what's on the other side of the
Right.
moon.
Right.
There's structures that,
Yes.
or whatever. Um, could be. Absolutely. I have no problem saying that that could be a reason why we haven't been back, because they don't want us to know the other part of what's there.
Right.
I can't say that that's not true, because, our government does hide things from us, um, and good and bad. I mean, yeah, we don't need to know everything that's going on, because that could be, security breach for us. That might not be a good thing.
Right.
But when it comes to the moon, which is everybody's, it's not just the United States. When it comes to the moon, and if there's things up there that they meaning all countries don't want us little folk here to know about, um, yeah, it'd be easy just to not go there. We're going to go look at Mars. We're going to go check out, other places. We're going to go see how far, what we can send out there. Also, I think another reason is because we have put money and we have the technology for robotics. And
Mm.
easier for us to be able to send, send a robot out there to collect these things, to collect, all this data instead of putting a human in danger where
Right.
human, the human could die. We don't want to risk a human life when we can put a robot out there, and that robot, just like the rover, can collect all the data and all the information that we have by feed from the robot, from the rover. um I think it was supposed to be like a 90-day mission, and it's still, I think somewhere I saw that they haven't gotten anything since 2019. I think I could be wrong. It could still be active and showing, but for some reason, I think I remember seeing that we haven't gotten anything from that rover, um, since 2019, but it lasted, what, a good 10 years.
We'll take a look at the Voyagers. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 continued to send back information. In fact, I was looking as I was speaking. As of right now, they are both still in operation, and they are outside of what we consider to be our solar system. They're still
Mhm.
collecting information and sending it back. Um, we didn't expect them to continue to last this long.
No, we don't. Um, Axiom's asking about that. How long do you ladies think before they take humans out of this and replace us with robots for this manufacturing? And they already have.
Oh,
I
it's
think,
in terms of space or in
yeah, you mean just space, or you mean everything?
manufacturing.
Things,
There's so many things being handled.
everything.
Yeah,
Once you're totally replaced, to believe you still um, need us for anything. Yes, I mean, we're not gonna be totally replaced by robots, I don't think. No. But I do think we have been replaced, for, for exploration into space. And I think that is just because of, it's you don't want to lose human life when you can put a robot out there to do, to collect rocks and collect
right.
soil samples or whatever, gas samples, or, there are places that, I mean, we can't go to places like that. It's too dangerous, nor
And
can we get there because of, heat or cold.
right.
Uh,
Well, and sending a machine into space or even under the ocean. I just was watching. We're sending robotics down under the
mhm.
ocean, and they're similar to what we would do in space. They're collecting stuff and bringing it back up for us, and it think about going into space. If you're sending a robot, it's a machine. If you're
Mhm.
sending a human, it's not just about the biological unit of the human. You have
Right.
to also send enough oxygen for the human to continue to breathe. You have to send enough food for
Absolutely.
the oxygen, water. You have all of
100%.
these, extra baggage, so to speak, to
Right.
go with the human to keep the human alive. So, and then you have to bring the human back.
Right.
So,
That was
yeah,
the thing. I think that was the Soviets that sent a dog up first,
yeah,
and they sent the dog, and they had issues with it, and
yeah,
with the rocket, and the dog died before
yeah,
they could even do anything. And so just think about if that was a human, and the human was up there and something went wrong and it took longer than we expected, which absolutely, unless you're up there growing your own stuff, which the space station, they have the ability to, be self-contained, and they do send things up, but they can, it's like life in a bubble here,
Right.
or
Right.
your dome, the human
Right.
dome, the dome. So they're able to do those things and be up there for very long periods of time. But to be able to go out and and they're supposed to be going back to the moon. They changed it. They're saying that they should be going back to the moon by, I think, 2025 now is when they're saying, I believe.
I
They're
don't
gonna
rem
do they're gonna do another, like, circle it kinda thing. I do know, going back to the conspiracy stuff, they're saying that, none of that happened, but they have, and it's not just us, it's other countries, um, have photos and things of now. I don't believe that original flag that we saw being put up, I don't believe that that is still standing like it is, but there are other things. They can see the modules that are there, the trash that was left.
yeah.
They have those things that are still there that other countries have said and have proof that are still there. Um, so other countries have said, yeah, we've seen it. We've been there. We saw it. We've been to the moon 6 times. Actually, we've been to the moon 7 times. One was failure. We didn't land, but that's go watch that movie. Um, um, but anyway, so we have been there multiple times, and each time we went, they left things. And so other countries are now able to say that they have gotten close enough that they have proof that, yes, those things that our astronauts said happened or said were there or whatever, they have proof of that now. Um, so the other thing that I have to say about proof is not really actual proof, but if it was faked,
hmm
besides the 400,000 people that would have to be quiet about it,
Right.
besides that, and besides all of the different agencies and stuff that were part of it that would have had to been quiet. I mean, somebody would have said something. Um, there's no way, and especially like on deathbeds and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody would have said it, if they were afraid their whole life on their deathbed, they would have said, "Hey, look at, this is what happened." And nobody has, I mean, out of 400,000 people, nobody has said, "Yeah, we did that." And it would have to be more than one person. But anyway, the biggest thing for me is not even if the Americans kept quiet. Don't you think the Soviet Union would have gone after
Oh,
to prove that we were big fat liars?
yeah, absolutely. Given
They
what given what the mentality of the time and the fact that it was all about literally bragging rights. The
Yeah.
first trip was bragging rights. They would have absolutely come back and said, "Yeah, prove it. You know, we can
Or
prove you weren't."
or we can prove that you didn't.
Right.
We can prove that you did it on a soundstage. We can prove, I mean, they would have absolutely ripped us to shreds if we hadn't have done that. Because
Yeah.
they already had satellites up there. They
Right.
they had already done that. They had already put a person up there. So
hmm
they would absolutely gone, "Y'all are crazy. We know because we have been up there. What you're saying is not right." They would have, yeah. There's no way they would have let that go and just
I
gone,
agree.
"Okay, y'all win."
I Yeah, I think the fact that number one, you can't get 5 people to keep a secret, much less tens of thousands. Um,
Exactly. I was going to be
I
more
think that
than one person. It would have,
right.
I mean, it would have, and especially so, like, how like now with the alien stuff, with the whistleblowers and all that
Oh
stuff.
God.
If one person came out and said, yeah, and it was true, then another would have gone, yeah, yeah. And then the masses would have come out, and then it would just have been a thing, and it would have been done. I mean, look how hard it is to keep anything a secret with, we'll just say Area 51. I mean,
Oh, you're right. Right. And
that's a whole different story.
that's a whole, yeah, to be continued.
I love me some Area 51. We can talk
But
about that another day.
yeah, it really comes down to, again, I think the two biggest factors that play into the did it really happen isn't so much that we have actual proof, it's that the Soviets would have proven we didn't. You can't keep that many people quiet. Um, beyond that, and there's also a way to send a laser and bounce it off something
Right.
that we left there,
Mhm.
to prove that there is something actually, which could have been done remote, with a robot or machinery kind of thing. But I think those are the two biggest factors that say, yeah, we really did it.
Yeah, Great Dane Mom says there were so many people involved that if we hadn't landed in 1969, someone would have come forward.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And the people that have come out, um, they aren't people who there was one guy, one guy. I have a video of him, but he's not even worth putting on the screen. He wrote a little book, and that's where the movie came from with the conspiracy stuff. He kind of stirred that up, but he just said,
Dark Mission.
"Is that what it was?"
Dark Mission was the name of the book. Yeah.
So, so he came out and he had some stuff, and he supposedly worked in something, but that's one guy. You
Right.
have one guy. Where are all his buddies who worked with him? They were like, yes, yes, we did that. Yes, yes,
Right.
he's right. Who had his back? You
Right.
know, there would have been so many more people to come forward and go, yes, he's right. Everything he said, he's not cuckoo. You know, I mean, he just kind of stirred stuff up and he took little things. And I will say a lot of the things that he said, like, I do have video. Let's see. We have time. I can find it. Um, okay, so Joe Rogan, which I know Joe Rogan, um, Joe Rogan at first,
Right.
he was like, we did not go.
Right.
Look at all this stuff. We did not go. Now he's like, oh, yeah, no, I don't believe that anymore. I believe we went. But now he does say there's some things that are kind of, that looks kind of funny. So like, when they're bouncing and stuff and they fall and they come back up. And there is this one where he falls and he pops back up and it's really weird. It really looks weird. I'm going to see if I can find that. Oh,
It looks like a bouncy castle.
yeah.
It reminds you of just, or a trampoline.
Yeah, it does. Okay, I'm going to this is the guy. I'm not going to play sound on it.
Okay, that's that one.
Yeah. This is the guy who wrote the book. His name is Casings. It's Bill Casings. That's the guy. Okay, so and this is some just random things. In some of these pictures, you can see the little crosshairs things, and that's one of the things they talk about how the film the the pictures have the crosshairs that are in front or behind. That's also the angle of the camera. They were actually etched. Those lines are etched in the lens. So depending on how you turn it or how the light hits it, that's gonna it might show up, it might not. It wasn't for the film, it was for them to be able to see.
So they could line things up as well if they
Yeah.
wanted to take several pictures and put them together.
Yeah, so they could do the panoramic thing.
Mm.
So it was more for that than um, to actually have crosshairs on a picture. So these are just some of the things. It will get to, let's see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. Hold on. So that shows how the ground was, you've got all these craters and stuff. So nothing is flat.
Right.
Okay, so here they are walking and they're having to bounce around. And you can see it's difficult for them to keep their core balanced. I have a balance disorder. I can so tell you how that is. Okay, so see how he just fell like that? So he's falling, and because there's no gravity, and he has these, they've got their gravity boots, that's keeping them on the ground. But they're having to, they call that the kangaroo hop right there, where they're having to hop, but they kind of lean forward and they're trying to keep themselves up. But when you're having your feet are the only thing that are heavy and the rest of your body is kind of moving around, it's going to be kind of hard to be able to to stay upright like we think of being upright.
Well, I also commented on if you watch the way they move, like if you had some kind of harness on you holding you up so that you appeared to have less weight, less gravity, you would still continue to move forward normally. Whereas when these guys are moving, there's sort of this bouncy back and forth thing that I think would take a lot of work to kind of force that movement.
Right.
And I really think that's part of how they're trying to move on the planet. It affects the way their hips and legs move.
There's the flag when they were putting it up. One of the things with the flag, it's not like what we think of as the heavy cloth flags. You could actually kind of see through it. So the light would go through the flag. From both sides, you could see the light going through on both sides. It wasn't like our solid, like heavy nylon or cloth kind of material. It's different. You'll be able to see in some of this where they're actually picking up rocks with their little grabber thingy. I did see Axiom where you're talking about the dust.
Okay.
Axiom saying as they're running around and stuff, they're stirring up the dust. Yeah, but like what I was saying is they killed the thrusters when they came down. So when it landed, it wasn't like this big plume of dust that it was kicking up. And then it's also second there they are taking the rock samples. So you don't see dust there. See, it's more of a shuffle.
You see the way they shift back.
Yeah, you're not seeing when their foot is kicking through the dirt or the whatever it is. It doesn't have these big plume up, and what goes up, it kind of hangs. So like I said, it would be like more when you're dusting a house, those really fine particles. So, but I do get what you're saying. I'm not, we get it. I'm not saying, I'm going to tell you another one of my thoughts here in a minute. That's him coming down. When they landed, they didn't, like I said, they didn't land where they thought that it would be more flat where they landed, and it wasn't. So when they came down off of that ladder, it wasn't like a flat. They had to like do another little hop down. I believe that's when they were under. I know they did some wind tests, and I don't know why they thought whether they were saying, because I heard them saying he was doing wind tests, and I'm like, why? There's no wind.
Right.
Okay. That's when they had just let the thing go. I had told Wolfie I like that when they did. I don't know which one it was. Stepped back and saluted the flag, and that's
Yeah.
just patriotic. Now, okay, so now there's a wobble in the camera. Okay, so now here he is. I see. Okay, you see the dust. Okay, it's not really coming up. See how it goes down when
Yeah,
he
it doesn't. Yeah.
down, it doesn't pop back up. It falls. It's just a little bit. It isn't like this big plume of dust. That's when they were just playing around. I know he ran around for a little bit. I don't think there's anything else really. Oh, here's some more. See, it's more just like kicking it as they're going. That's really not doing anything.
Yeah, it's not like it flies up.
Mm-mm. And again, there aren't any stars because the camera is not going to pick up those stars.
Well, everything else is so bright because the moon is bright. It's reflecting off. That was the other thing. The fact that they have white suits also affected the temperatures that they were dealing with. It reflected the sunlight.
Okay, so let's stop. Whoops. Let me just stop it back here. Okay, so one of the things that they talked about is
Is that what you're thinking? Yeah.
Is how there's no depth. It looked like a sound stage, and we're used to seeing an atmosphere with haze to show depth and stuff, and there's no atmosphere there to create a haze to show depth. So something that is far away still looks the same. So that's because what we're used to. We're used to seeing what we see in our atmosphere, in an atmosphere that doesn't have gravity or haze or anything like that. There's nothing there to create what our eyes would see as depth. Like I said, for me, my eyes being my core, my brain and my eyes are 6 inches off. So for me, sometimes like I'm fine with my eyes open, but if I close my eyes, I can't see it right. So I understand when they're talking about how your eyes perceive things differently.
Right.
Hold on, I was going to see if okay. I don't think there's the prints. Kicking a rock. They brought back so much rock. I can't remember how many, it's like, let's see.
I know that's another story. Some of the moon rocks are missing. So here's
that's when they lifted up. Wait a minute, lift off. When they took off, okay, what was one of the things that they said? They're like, how is it that they got this lifting up? How did they get that?
How did the camera follow?
Right. So it was remotely done.
Right.
So it did. So I did get that from Smithsonian.
If you
Um,
do watch when they first lift off, there is a bit of a plume that comes up, but you don't get to see it because the camera moves and follows them as they go up. So
right,
there is an aspect of some of that dust going up in the air.
right. When it's coming down, you don't see it because
Right.
they don't have they don't have to have that what's the word, propulsion. When they lift up, they have to have that explosion to get them up off the ground. When they're
Right.
coming down, they cut off all of that and they just came down so they could gently land instead of crashing down. They didn't need to be, and they were running out of fuel to be able to do that. So they came down because that's why when they were originally planning on where they were landing, and then they realized, oh, we can't land there like we had planned. They used more fuel than they had planned on, so they had to kill the engine sooner. That's probably another reason why they didn't use it like they had planned. But when they were lifting off, they had to have that explosion to get them up off and then to get going. And then the camera was left there. They didn't. I mean, it wasn't like, oh hey, let me go back. Oh, by the way, can y'all send that?
Right. This isn't TikTok. You don't walk over and pick the camera up after you do your funny little thing.
Yeah, no. So they left it, and so it was done remotely, so they could follow and see the camp. See,
Are you there? I think maybe you froze and I thought it was my internet. So, um, we can't have dead air now, so I hear. I'm not allowed to allow that to happen. Um, Hopefully you will come back. Don't leave me here. Um, yeah, so I know there's a lot of topics around the moon that we can continue to chat about. This was just one of many that we could choose going through. Yes, she's frozen, but you can still hear me. Um, all right, there. Well, oh my, there I am.
my internet.
Are you back?
I'm here.
And I'm like, I'm not allowed to have dead air. Don't let there be dead air.
I was like, I
That's
hope
a joke. That's a Mr. Malloy joke.
That's right. That's right. Malloy was having each other. Yeah, I was like, oh no, I'm saying,
I'm like,
oh well, we're back, and we're back. Okay,
okay.
so thanks for holding it there. So I don't remember what I was saying. Anyway, so
I'm not
they,
sure where we were.
I don't know. Um, I do have some thoughts about what I think about all of this.
Okay.
But I want to hear your thoughts first.
Um, as hard as it is, because to be honest, we sent humans to the moon in a tin can. To be fair,
Hmm.
um, and I know the technology at the time, and it is a little scary to think that we actually accomplished it, but I do believe we did. Now, I also believe it's entirely possible that we had production shots, that we had, because I know we didn't really talk about Stanley Kubrick and his possible, that one of the theories is that he made the whole film. Um, I think it's entirely possible that they had him in to maybe do some photos while they were, because there was a lot of preparation and training that went into this. So maybe some of the stuff we see is actually images that were created as
Mhm.
practice or publicity, or even if, oops, we missed that shot. Oh, well, here we have the fake version. In which case, if they had done that, it would have been nice to say, okay, this is a simulation.
Right.
We missed the real event, but I do believe we went. Um, I'm still skeptical about the whole idea that we lost the technology to go back. But I do believe we went. I do believe we went, and I think it's great that there are people who are questioning it. I think the concept of this conspiracy theory and the fact that people can say, "Hey, I don't believe this," is really a wonderful thing and useful, and hopefully makes it so that things in the future will be not necessarily transparent, but um, there'll be more proof, more evidence to show us that something really happened. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Are you gone again? And she's gone. Okay, so um, I think there's a lot of value in going into space. I think that, again, like I talked about, manufacturing, things we haven't even begun to figure out yet about what we can accomplish in space. Carry on. I shall carry on. Thank you for that. Uh, I'm doing a lot of ums. Yeah, there's a lot of value in exploring things that are off of our planet. There's a lot of value in exploring the oceans of our planet. Why we don't have to do just one.
Mhm.
As individual humans, we can have a variety of interests. We don't have to just think one thing or be one thing. So are you still with me? There you
I'm
are. You're
here. I'm
moving.
here.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm just listening to you. Oh, I'm listening to my spirit animal talk. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, this is going to be really easy because you already said all the stuff.
Oh no. Okay.
I totally agree. I think that did we go to the moon? Absolutely. I'm with my dad 100%. We went.
Hmm.
Yeah, we did. But I also, just the fact that we sent an image, a live image from the moon back to Earth. They caught it in Australia. I think it was, I don't remember. I want to say it was like Alaska or something. They sent it there. Then it had to go all the way back around to get back to like Florida,
Right.
Texas, wherever it was. I think it was Texas. They crapped it. But anyway, it it literally went all the way around almost twice. So just for, and then there was like a 4-second delay. Oh, and when they first got it, when the image first came from from the moon to Australia, it was upside down. And
Right.
Australia had to flip it. Australia had to do that. So knowing all of that had to happen, and them never having had done any of that before, it was a learning curve.
Right.
So I truly think that, yeah, I know that they did a lot of practicing. I know that they had, they practiced walking and they practiced picking up rocks and having the big suits on, and they did all that. And here we are with Melissa Jane. Her country was the one who captured it for us.
There.
Thank you, Melissa Jane. She's upside down.
See, Australia is real,
Yeah, so they had to flip it right side up.
and I defend that.
They did. So thank you, Melissa Jane, for your country flipping our feed up the right side. Appreciate that so much. We would have been little cockeyed sitting there watching it on our televisions all over the world. So anyway, um, So I think they did take pictures while they were practicing. Like I said, picking up rocks
Mhm.
and doing all the things that they had to practice. Oh, I know the camera. Somebody was like, one of the things was the camera. How could they focus? How could they do these things with that camera? Because their gloves were so bulky. How could they do that? Well, the reason was is they didn't have the buttons like what was on that camera. They fitted it with these slide things so
Mhm.
that all they had to do was with their hands would take their fingers and slide these big things. So it wasn't like, here we are with our camera, click, click. It wasn't like that. Um, they had it fit so that their hands were able to move and manipulate the camera, and they took that camera with them everywhere so that they practiced and practiced and
Right.
practiced. But the actual pictures, I I think some of them probably were taken, when they were practicing, picking up the rocks or whatever, just in case something went wonky
Mhm.
and here the whole entire world is like, uh, where is it? We're waiting. Kind of like y'all were waiting on me to come back. We had Wolfie here. If we didn't have Wolfie here, y'all would have been going, where'd she go?
Well, it's funny because I flashed on the idea of being a kid, getting sent to the store and being told, bring back the change. If we hadn't had any pictures to bring back, then the public would
Oh
have
my
been like,
goodness.
well, we spent all
Yes.
this money and you just went and you don't have any photos,
I didn't even get a t-shirt. What the
Right.
heck?
I didn't.
At least they brought back some rocks, some dirt samples. But no, I think that some of those pictures, and they took so many, and honestly, we saw the best ones.
Mhm.
There were some really crappy ones out
Mhm.
there. They're there, and you can go on the NASA website, and they've got everything. That's why it said Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. That's where that feed was from, but they got it originally from NASA. So everything came from NASA.
That
And
is a fun place to go. The Smithsonian is really cool.
I went as a kid, and I remember seeing like the Wright brothers plane hanging. I'm like, oh my gosh. And the spacesuit, they've got
Mm.
the spacesuit there. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
The
So,
Apollo Soyuz mock-up from
oh,
when we linked up a ship with the Russians prior to.
that's all of that is so cool. I love all that stuff.
Mhm.
Anyway, so I want to know in the chat. I know Axiom. Thank you, Axiom, for talking. I
Yes.
truly appreciate that. I mean, I do. Hey, opinions. Everybody's
Yeah.
got one. Everybody's got one. It's all good.
Mhm.
That's why we wanted to do that, do this, and I'll tell you what we're going to talk about. We're going to change right quick. I'm going to tell you we're going to change things from Saturday because I told y'all I'm not giving up my weekend. Sorry, I love you guys, but nope, it was never the plan to do this every Saturday. We're going to move it to Wednesdays. It just happened that we started on Saturdays because I was trying to get everything kind of like, worked out. So now that I've got things worked out and I kind of know what I'm doing, I'm getting better. I shared some video with y'all today.
You did great. You created intros. You shared a bunch of images. You look at the background. We're sitting on the moon.
We're on the moon.
You know.
We have my little
Look at,
my little moon is sitting on the cloud with its little headset on.
and
And
you've got your stars and moons hanging behind you. This is becoming a real production here.
see, I told y'all I have stuff. It's just not important. But I got the stuff from my bedroom that I had in there from when I was filming something else, and I brought it in here. So
Oh,
now,
TMI, please, TMI.
no, this is PG 13. Pop, let's do it. No, I have so many I have ASMR. I have YouTube sections in my house set up because I also have my grandma's house. So I have so many different stations that I have set up. And I had put this in an area, it's like a sitting area in my bedroom. And that way it's dark and I could film like wood soup in there and it's
Sure.
quiet and I love it. Um, but I was like, I, I need to put it in here. So I drug that stuff out. And so now we have the backdrop, like, real real YouTubers have that I've had for years, and I just drug it out, got it out of the closet for y'all. But anyway, um, we're gonna do on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I like going at 8. It's just not too late, not too early.
Hmm.
So 8 o'clock Eastern. We're gonna do next Wednesday, or this coming Wednesday, actually. This coming Wednesday, which is what is the date? It is on Wednesday will be the 2nd. So Wednesday, August 2nd. Um, so for those of y'all watching the replay and years down the road, it won't be August 2nd. So Wednesday. We're going to do the next whisper chat, which is actually soft voice or soft spoken chat. It just doesn't sound as good. We're going to talk about, you want to tell them, Wolfie?
I'm sorry. It's my brain doesn't want to agree with you right now. What are we going to talk about?
The hollow moon.
Oh, that's right. That just went and hid somewhere behind a moon rock. Okay.
So we're gonna talk about and find out. We're gonna discuss. We're not gonna really find out because I don't know if we could really find out. It's kind of like this. Actually, I think it's not like this. No, we can't compare it to this because there's too much information on this. But
It's a little different.
yeah, this is a little different. We're gonna talk about the theory that the moon is hollow. Maybe it's made of cheese. I don't know. We're going to talk about it. So, we would love for you to come back next on Wednesday, and we'll talk about the moon, since we're on the moon thing. And I this is new one for me. Now I knew about the moon landing, but this hollow moon thing, oh. This one is going to be cool.
Yeah.
So, before we talk about, first, I want to know: do y'all know about the hollow moon? Has anybody heard about our moon being hollow? Axiom, do you know about that? Clumsy, do you know about that? Malloy probably does know about that. Malloy has probably been inside the moon.
No.
Or not. So I want to know about that. Clumsy's like, hollow moon? What? I know. I didn't know about this thing.
Yeah.
So, okay. So Great Day Mom has heard of it. All right. Very cool. Okay. Yamaha, have you heard of it? Have you heard about the hollow moon?
Yamaha's afraid of cornfields.
Oh my goodness. So,
Oh.
Clumsy says Malloy was born on the moon. She's seen his birth certificate. Right, that's right. The cadet was born on the moon. And he says that the moon is made of green cheese. Oh, okay. That's not too good. Hold on a minute. I gotta catch up to y'all. Yamaha. I just want to know Oh my goodness. I don't wanna know about the probing. PG. This is PG. That's for the members only section. Maybe you and Cartman can talk about that. Um, so anyway, well, okay. All right. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the hollow moon, whether it's hollow, is it not? If it's full of, I don't know. We're gonna talk about that on Wednesday at 8 Eastern. And so I want to know. I want the chat to let me know. Now you know what Wolfie and I think about this conspiracy. I want to know what y'all think. So I know a couple of you have said yes, we went. Do you think that, like Wolfie and I say, that yeah, we went, but there could be some things that were, filmed previously that was there just in case. Like they're talking about the wires hanging. I really don't believe that. I think it's just more, their feet are heavy, but their bodies were not. And
Right.
so I think that is the explanation of why it pulled them up and it looked like they were, popping up when oddly, like you wouldn't do that here on Earth. There's just no way your body could physically do that. But when there's no gravity for your body and the only thing that's holding you down are those gravity boots, I think that's what it was. I think that's why it just looked really weird. Malloy, there, you don't have to pack a suitcase or a bucket to go to the moon. He's stuck on our lawsuits that are going on right now. The cases. We're not even going to mention them.
No.
That'll be old news in 5 years. They will have no idea what we're talking about. So Great Day Mom says it's possible they told some of what if.
Some what if photos. Like possibilities, I think. Did I lose you again? Okay. I can't keep track. Let me see the chat. It's possible they took some what if photos. It's entirely possible that, like we said, they were prepared in advance in case something went wrong, so they'd be able to show something. And we weren't as discerning back then as we are now. We're looking at this in hindsight from 60 years, so 50 some years. Okay, folks. Yeah, the suitcases are another thing entirely. But anybody else have any opinions or? Okay, that's. Are you back?
I don't know what is going on with my internet today.
It's okay. It's a test.
It is a test. It's to see if I'm doing that on purpose, just to see if you can stick with
If I can handle the here ad lib.
You're going. That's it. Keep talking.
Talk amongst yourselves.
I do. Like, yeah, just talk amongst yourselves while I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here. So,
and
go ahead.
Were you going to mention your special guest tomorrow? You have another? Okay.
I have the most wonderful guest, and not that you aren't. You're my spirit animal. I can't. Wolfie, it's just But tomorrow, oh my goodness. Okay, tomorrow, y'all have to come back again. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern, and my girl Clumsy, who is in the chat right now, Clumsy is going to be here, and she is going to be doing some soft talking, soft spoken ASMR style tarot reading. And I am so excited to have her here. So everybody needs to come tomorrow so that you can participate. Clumsy is going to be reading. Yeah, here she is. We've got our tarot reader. She is in the house, and she is.
Which house is she in? Is she in the first house? Is she in the fifth house? She might be in the 12th house. Sorry.
She's been practicing with her whisper all week. I'm so Oh my goodness. No, Malloy. Hold on a minute. I was gonna where I have a no, I don't have that set up yet. Oh well, I'll get it. I'll have it for tomorrow. So it's Grandma's house.
Which house? It's Grandma's house. Good one.
It's Grandma's.
Good one.
Smart. That was smart. It is Grandma's house. And so for those who don't know, I do have another channel. It's called Grandma's House, where I read stories for children. So that's why when we're in the public sphere like we are right now, it is PG-13 because I do have children that will be popping in at times to say hello or to listen about things. So we will always keep it PG-13 when we are in the public sphere like that. So I will let you know if we are not, but we are. If I don't say differently, we are PG-13. So anyway, so there's a plug for Grandma's house, and it is attached to this channel, so you can see them in the links on the home screen. So anyway, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I've had so much fun.
Wait, Yamaha is a whale whisperer.
Can't whisper. My voice is too deep, and we'll start to try to talk to me. Really,
Yamaha, the whale whisperer.
Yamaha, I need you to get me some whales so that I can record them, because I really want to do some whale sounds for one of my soundscapes. I do really think that whale sounds are so calming, and I love them. So I've had a lot of requests for whale sounds too. So anyway, yeah, the Great Dane likes whale song. I want to have some whale sounds. Clumsy says whales are her favorite animal. Yeah, I love whales. So anyway, I do want to say thank you for everybody that has come and hung out and for playing our trivia. If you missed the trivia live, you can always go back. It's in the playlist with the games, and you can go ahead and watch it. And you won't be able to play against everybody, but you can answer and see if your answer is right, and it'll tell you the answer as it moves along. So you don't have to play with us. But what I do is, before we have our whisper chat, I will either do trivia or a crossword puzzle or word search, just to kind of start us out and have some fun in a different thing. I didn't have any music. I thought it had music playing. I'm going to have to see how I can do that, because I do kind of like having when it had the music in the background. But anyway, we're going to we'll work that out. That's fun to start doing that. And then after that, we'll come over and we'll have our whisper chat. And each week, we will have a different topic that we're going to do. And make sure that you look in the community tab to see what we're voting on. We'll be voting on books that I read. The next one is going to be this one, Tales of Mystery. This is the next one. We're going to do classic tales. So these are ones that y'all have heard of. It's not like I'm making this stuff up. So we're gonna read that one, and then we'll do the that's next Friday. We'll start that. But I always check the community tab because I'll have stuff for y'all to vote on, different polls of what y'all want me to do. So anyway, so Wolfie, thank you
Yes.
so much for
Thank you.
coming
This was fun.
and hanging out with me.
And thank you to the chat.
Yes, thank you, Chad. I love y'all so much. It's always fun to have y'all here and get your opinions. And we don't all have to agree. It's all good. You can disagree with me. I like it actually. I like you challenging me. So Axiom, seriously, I like it. I like it. It's good. Keep us on our toes. All right. And
Thank you, Axiom.
we can't do that 4 number. Okay. Let's not do that. All right. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Just no on that. All right. So, guys, I just want to say thank you and make sure you come back tomorrow night at 8 so that we can have our in-house tarot card reader come and whisper read to us. So, again, thank you. And I will see you next time. Bye.